So I'm supposed to wait till the doors close for my cue to get going here, so that looks like it. Well, welcome everyone to the virtual farm tour for Twin Brook Dairy in Lynden, Washington. Excuse me, yeah? So, hey, before I get going, can everyone like check their phones and make sure ringer's on silent, vibrate, do all that routine stuff? Anyway, this dairy tour is hosted by Laylee, which I am a proud employee of. Twin Brook is in my area of responsibility. Who we have here is Mark and Michelle Tolsma, who are the co-owners of both Creamery and Dairy. We're going to let them talk about it. I just want to turn it over. I think Michelle's going to start first, and please, there'll be a little bit of a time afterward for questions and answers. So please hold questions. We'll get all that. And I'm going to turn it over to Mark and Michelle, okay?
Here's what a truly happy cow is. When you open that gate in the spring for the first time and let them hit that pasture, they run and they kick and they jump and they frolic. That's a truly happy cow.
Today we are in Lynden, Washington at Twin Brook Creamery. We milk around 180 cows, and I am in partnership along with my father-in-law, Larry Stapp.
What we came up with is that nobody was putting their milk in glass bottles. It was a niche that was not being met. There's 4 things that set us apart that gain us access to stores. Jersey cows, low temperature pasteurization, non-homogenization, and glass bottles give us a product that doesn't compete with anything on the grocery shelf, so the retailers welcome us in.
I think my favorite part of the day is just walking in the morning and you see all the cows sleeping, laying down in the stalls, and just walking through them and seeing everybody nice and calm.
What is my favorite part? Probably maternity. I get to see the gift of life.
My favorite thing about the robots is the cows being allowed to get milked whenever they want.
I find that the robotic milking is only one small part of the whole picture of what we purchase. It's an incredible management tool. Every cow, you know, there's about 180, 190 of them milking right now, going through those robots, getting milk. But yet, on the other hand, I've got complete access to all that information at my fingertips, whether it be activity monitor, whether it be rumination monitor, whether it be milk conductivity, whether it be body temperature of the milk, you see, and stuff like that. It's all available right at your fingertips.
For us, milk production's gone up right around 7 pounds a cow.
It's really interesting watching how quick cows learn all this stuff.
Barns are calm, everything's calm. And since we're a milk processor, we need to have comfortable cows.
Comfortable cows make productive cows.
You put all this hard work in your design and the labor, and to see the first one go, it was pretty exciting.
I was just awestruck. Here's a robot that actually is cleaning the cows better than any human could and attaching them just as fast or faster than a human could, and it does it in such a quiet way that the cows are calmer than in a human interaction. Laylee gives me more information to manage my herd in a very timely, precise, cow health-friendly way.
It exceeded our expectations, and we do it again.
Thank you for coming to learn about our farm and our family. And first, I would like to introduce the members of our family that didn't get to come here. On your left is my brother Mike. He is our plant manager for the Creamery. Next to him is my parents, Larry and Debbie Stapp. And then it's our family with our 5 children. Jacob is 11, Samantha is 10, Levi is 7, McKenna is 6, and Ethan is 2. And this picture was taken in front of my grandparents' house, and my grandpa, who is almost 86, also still helps us out once in a while in our Creamery, and so he is still part of our farm. Our farm began in 1910 when my great-great-grandfather cleared the land and built his barn and his house and started farming there. And currently my parents and us are the 4th and 5th generations, and our goal is to have the 6th generation eventually take over when our kids are grown up. So it's been neat to see the continued use of that land by our family. And one of the things that we found interesting is that when my great-grandfather was farming, his brother was just down the road, and he used the name Stapp Dairy. And so my great-grandfather had to come up with a new name. And on both sides of the road, there's 2 big ditches, and so the road is called Double Ditch. But he didn't like that name, so he went with Twin Brook instead, and so that's how our creamery got the name of Twin Brook. When my grandfather was farming, one of my uncles was in business with him, and so my dad actually started a separate dairy, and that is where our cows are right now, where we milk our cows, and my husband and I live there now. And then when my grandpa retired, my uncle also decided to get out of farming. So in 2001, my parents purchased the old homestead, and so we have the 2 places, and my parents live there now. And one of the reasons for us beginning farming with my parents was that we both grew up in farms, and we loved that lifestyle, and we wanted that for our kids. And so this is one of our sons just having fun with the cows, and we love that they enjoy 4-H and showing cows and being out on the farm, just having fun and starting to help with some of the chores. And this is the beautiful community that we get to live in. The picture on the left is to the east of us, and the picture on the right is our north view. And so along with the beauty of our community, we also have a great people community. And so we love to be part of that as our business. And some of the things that we have done, we've been nominated for Small Business of the Year in our community. We donate some of the calves to the youth auctions for the 4-H's. We sponsor some local events and clubs. My husband and my father have also been involved in the Dairy Federation, water boards, and church committees. We also participate in a yearly Whatcom County farm tour, which is really fun. It's the only time we really open our farm up to the public to come in and see everything. This year we had about 600 people come through, and it's just fun to show people what we do and educate them on how farming works.
I need to have a... Is that better?
Yep.
All right. We started our creamery back in 2007. Read my notes. The reason we started a creamery was we wanted a stable milk price, just like everybody else does. And we knew that in order to get our milk processed, get into the store, we needed to have a different product. You go into the store, you have a gallon jug, you have the co-op gallon of the local co-op, and then the store usually has the local co-pack brand. And we kept thinking, well, why would they want to put another gallon in next to everybody else? And as far as we can see, there really is no reason to compete in that market. And so we knew we had to do something different, so we came out and we started using the glass bottles just to differentiate ourselves from everybody else. And then to further separate ourselves from the rest, we did non-homogenization, and we bottled with Jersey cows. And the reason we did the Jersey cows is, well, we had that since 1992, but with the higher protein levels and higher milk fat solids, you'd get a premium taste in your fluid milk. Well, when we built our creamery, we converted it in a double car garage, which you see in front of you. And when we started, we thought we can just do it on our chattel note. And so we started with the creamery, and by the time we were done and we bought all our equipment, we at least doubled our expectations, what we expected to sell. And in the beginning, the original dairy, we were going to leave alone, try to milk 180 cows, start the creamery, milk about 60 cows in the creamery, and just use that to help stable ourselves. But in the long run, it just took off faster than we thought it would. Our goal, when we started the creamery, we had to lease cows from the dairy to the creamery, and we had to put separate owners. There's a lot of market administrator rules on milk processing, so we had to make Michelle and her dad owners of the creamery, and my mother-in-law and I owners of the dairy. And one of the ways that we do a lot of our marketing is this: my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and every weekend, every Friday and Saturday, they go out and they do milk samples. We primarily market in the Seattle and Portland area. And so when you're in that area and you can walk down the aisle and the farmer is sitting there pouring you samples, you don't get better marketing than that. Currently we're in over 200 stores located anywhere from Seattle to Portland. Our first stores that we started in were just little fruit stands and vegetable stands, and then we had the local food co-op. After that, we had a county store, county chain that gave us about 5 stores. And we sat there for a while. It's like all the other stores, sit there and watch to see if you're going to survive, to see if you have quality. And after that, then the stores started calling us. We started getting chains in Seattle, and then Safeway called us, and QFC called us. And then we knew that we had to do an expansion. You can see on this picture, the front part of the Creamery building, you can see the darker tin, and that was the original building. And then in 2010, we added the back. While we were in the growth stage, we started in 2007, and we came into 2009. And of course, milk prices were very poor during that time. We had the dairy going on one side, and then we had the creamery going on the other side. So we were at the dairy was losing tens of thousands per month, and the creamery was not making a profit yet and losing thousands per month. But we knew that we needed to expand, and the banks really didn't want to give us any money. And so what we had to do is we went to our community, and we rounded up local people that gave us loans from anywhere from 10 to 20,000 that we backed up with cows. And we used that for our expansion. We went out and bought a bottle filler, washer, and everything else. So here's a picture of our pasteurizing room. We got 2 300-gallon vats and a 200-gallon vat, and then separator and a cream can. This is our filler. Before we bought our filler, we were hand capping everything, which is legal for the state of Washington, but not if you go over state boundaries. So when we wanted to get into Oregon and Portland area, then we had to buy a mechanical capper. So this is a video that we thought we took out, but it's being played upside down. So this is our filler. I think it's actually filling half and half. So anyway, here's our cooler. This is our last edition that we built just in this early spring. Before we built this cooler, we stored everything in overseas containers. The rows were narrow, and we had to stack the cases 6 high. And so this was a nice addition for us. Our next addition this is actually our bottling washing room. So it's a big giant wash machine behind those crates. This was kind of the addition we did recently. In the future, we're hoping to start strawberry milk January 1 and then get into yogurt and ice cream. Okay, so here's the Jersey herd. We're milking 220 cows with dry cows, 180 going through the robots, about 230, 240 heifers. And because they're Jerseys, we try to sell excess cows. We probably sell about 60 excess cows a year. We raise our own heifers. We put them in hutches till about 12 weeks. We get a fair amount of rain by us, so we have this little roof built. My wife fed calves throughout high school. Then after that, my mother-in-law fed calves, and she said, build a roof or I quit feeding calves. And so there's a roof. When we have heifers, we try to pasture heifers as much as possible. We got our own pasture, and then some old retired farmers keep some cows, and we do it as much as possible. Cows are all held in freestall barns. This is just a little lean-to that we built off the barn. We scrape twice a day. What I normally do, because we have the robots, is we scrape where we feed, and then I run the load off, and then I go back and I scrape the rest of the alleys. I know Laley's coming out with was it Laley Discovery? Laley Discovery, and this little vacuum unit that's going to come in and vacuum the manure off, transport it, and then dump it into a hole. And so that'll be kind of exciting to look into in the future. We graze all our cows as much as possible, as well as feed a TMR in the shed. We just find it good to get cows off the cement. It's nice to see, and then as we do our bottling, it's just good marketing. And then we put a grazeway in, lay the grazeway in when we put the robots in, and the grazeway will send the cows into pasture if they've just been milked, or it'll send them back in the barn if they need to be milked again. But I got a video of that working a little bit later. Oh no, I do have it right here. Normally they don't come out quite that fast, but I'm standing there with the little mini iPad, and the way jerseys are, they just kind of come at you. For breeding, everything is artificially inseminated. We do no hormone or sync program. Everything is done on visual heats. Everything is done rumination and detected on the collar. The collar gives information all day long, 24/7. So heifers are bred twice to sex semen, and then we use a young sire. For a little bit while, I used the limousine on the heifers, and then I stopped. I kind of want to see how they calve out on them before I do that more. First lactation cows are bred twice to sex semen, and then we use the limousine. Second lactation cows are bred to conventional semen twice, and then limousine. The limousine thing is kind of a new thing for me. We yet to have any on the ground. We're just trying to use it to clean up breeding problems and different things in the herd. We're on the Alta Genetics Jersey Driven program, which is their program where if they have a new bull, it's the new semen they have. Even if they don't have enough for everybody, they supply their Jersey Driven customers. Mainly CMEX on the bulls, and we've been using genomics pretty hard for the last 5 years. And so this is the breeding page on the Lely robots. So this is the heat detection on the collars. The red is their heat probability, while the dark blue is their activity, and the light blue is their rumination. And so as you look at it, you can see their activity going up, then their rumination going down. So it forms kind of a diamond shaped, and that gives pretty good accuracy on the breeding. So I always think if you have one in the ear or if you have one on the leg, the cow can get excited. Is she in heat or isn't she in heat? You really don't know for sure. But when you can watch the rumination drop down and you have activity go up, there's a lot of confidence that you can just breed that cow. All right, so for feeding in the robots, we feed an average of 13 pounds of grain in the robots, consisting mostly of barley, a little bit of protein and flavoring. The reason we feed barley is we market milk in the Seattle-Portland area, and everybody thinks corn is bad. And so we feed barley for the starches. The outside PMR, which is a partially mixed ration, consists of 10 pounds of grain, barley, protein, and minerals. Forages consist of alfalfa hay, which we buy from the eastern side of the state, grass silage, and corn silage of upwards of 20 pounds. We limit the corn silage with the goal of feeding the starches in the robot. We are using non-Roundup ready corn, and we are in the process of getting GMO-free certified. And the reason for that, again, is just the area that we market our milk, and we're just using that as a marketing tool. Everything we do is custom harvested. We do grass silage and corn silage. We try not to buy equipment that we don't have to buy. We refer to that on our dairy as iron disease, which puts a lot of people out of business, is how it looks. So if we can get a custom guy to do it, that's what we do. We are too wet and cold to grow alfalfa, so everything we grow is Timothy or fescue hay or silage. We grow the Timothy for the quality and the fescue for the durability. Manure. So the manure, everything is scraped into a slot. We pump the manure into our slurry storage. In our county, there is no application allowed in October to April or May, depending on how the spring works out. Each farm has a farm plan which dictates how much manure you can put on, the rate you can put on, how close to waterways you can put on. what you do is you walk the fields with the conservation district, and we check the slopes of all the fields, and by that we determine how close we go with everything. Everything is custom applied with drag hose injection. We try to do that to keep the manure smell down, and it gets right into the plant right away. So here's a little video that we made for our creamery, mostly just for our customers to show what we do every day.
There's been a lot of issues flying around about environmental stuff in our community over the last 6 months to a year and a half, stuff like that. There's been a lot of finger pointing, there's been a lot of misinformation out there, things that are going on in our dairy industry and our dairy community here. One of the driving forces that got me involved was the closure of the shellfish beds on Portage Bay for the Lummi Indians. We, as the dairy industry, were singled out as a contributor for closing the shellfish beds down. It was almost like a stab in the back. Over the years, we've implemented an incredible bunch of environmental practices that enhance the water quality and enhance stewardship of the land. The east boundary of our farm is Fish Trap Creek, and there was not a tree, there was no nothing there. So in cooperation with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Department of Ecology, Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association, and ourselves, we put a plan together where we agreed to plant a whole bunch of trees and brush on our side of the bank. We have significantly reduced the plugging up because of that issue. We don't have near the flooding that we've had. This whole area is what we call the fish trap drainage area. 2/3 of the drainage is up there in Canada. We started water quality sampling at the Canadian border as the water enters the United States. We found some significant impacts there. And to the Department of Agriculture's credit, they sent a letter up to Canada stating the numerous times that they did not meet water quality standards. We're trying to clean it up, but we can't clean up dirty water that comes down. Just a couple years ago, we had a mole drill a hole through one of the dikes in our lagoons. But our lagoon on the dairy here happened to be about 20 to 30 feet away from a drainage ditch along the road, which feeds into the Fish Trap Creek, which goes into the Nooksack River. I said, I don't need that liability. And at the end of 2014, we decommissioned our earthen lagoon and moved it away and built a new vertical upright of steel and cement so that there's no chance of a dike failure. The Trumpeter Swan Society has credited the dairy industry with the rebirth of the swan population. Wherever dairies thrive, trumpeter swans thrive. A lot of ducks and geese, and especially ducks, that do incredible damage to our fields during the winter, which we have no control over here. The trouble with ducks and stuff like that move into these fields at night and mow them down. What do? They create mud, so then you create surface runoff. But what's been farming out there all night? Ducks and geese, right? So do they potentially contribute to the bacteria load in the streams? These are all things that we need to identify and source. We've also entered an agreement within RCS for doing things like don't tear and sod up until after May 1 so that we protect bird nesting. We don't put any manure on ground 30 days prior to planting of any crops, just to make sure that it's in the ground and the nutrients are ready to be used. They're not just being thrown out there and wasted. Next spring, we're going to tear a whole bunch of fields up, and NRCS, in cooperation with the Conservation District, is going to do a edge of field monitoring study. And what they're going to do is we're going to reslope all the fields to go to 2 weirs. The weirs will catch 100% of the water, surface water off if it gets to that point during the winter when the ground is fully saturated. And then we're going to monitor what's actually coming off, both in terms of sediment and coliform counts, fecal counts, things like that. And we can establish some data to come up with buffer rules that make sense, data that will help us do a good job of managing what we can do on our land and not contribute to poor water quality, and what we can do to still farm our farms and make a living. We've dairied pretty much all our lives, and I've kind of always had a mental goal in the back of my head was this, that the next generation will have improved cows and improved land.
Right, as you see that video, we try to make a lot of videos and try to use YouTube and different things to get our message out and just use it for promotion. Automation. So these are our 3 robots we put in. We put them in August of last year. We put them in a little bit of an L-shaped. So on your guys' left is we call that robot number 3. Behind that robot number 3 is a catch bin. So whenever we need somebody caught for breeding or whatever, we put it in the computer, automatically goes in the pen. The 2 robots on the right, they'll go through the first robot and then get shoved through the second robot and then into the catch bin. We just remodeled our barn. We had an older barn, older facility. It was kind of a barn with a lean-to off of a lean-to. And so we just kind of pounded out the back and we added about 20 feet to the barn. Added a little bit of red tin to make it look good, but it worked out. So this is another view of the robots. We had pretty good success right off the bat. We were over 3 milkings per cow within the first month. And part of that, for the key of that, and that I think was important to make that work, was that we have a lot of room in front of the robots. And so what that allows is it allows the lower ranking cows to enter them. This is just a view of our catch pen. It's behind that robot number 3. We'll put cows in there for breeding, or if they're lame or have any issues. They can actually go back out, get milked into robot number 3 and get kicked back in, so they can still go out and get milked as much as they like. Yeah, so why robots? And so the reason we started robots mainly was we milked 200 cows in a double 4, 2 6-hour milking shifts. And we started at 3 in the morning, and we just didn't want to do that for the rest of our lives. So we would somebody would always get up at 3. We had a milker. We'd run a load off, lock up cows, scrape, and then we'd go back to bed for an hour or so and then get back up and feed calves. And it's not real fun. And so we put the robots in. Second of all was labor savings. We had full-time, part-time milker, and so those are not there anymore. The milker that we had, he would start at 2:30 in the afternoon. He'd get done at 8. He'd start again at 3 o'clock in the morning and get done at 8:30, and he did that for 6 years. And so when it was time to get the robots, we gave him a job in the processing plant, because you can't find people that do that very often. Second, the next reason was technology. It's monitoring the cows 24/7, everything you want. It monitors the heat detection, the milk quality, the milk amount, the butter fat, the protein, pretty much whatever you want for the milk, it's monitored. And the last reason, it's just kind of exciting and fun. You know, when you get a new technology on your farm, it just kind of exciting, makes everybody interested once again. And then Lely, the reason we went with Lely, we really didn't search Lely out. We just had a dealer that we used that we liked very much, and they carried the Lely products, and that's pretty much the reason why we went with Lely. Your equipment is only good as the dealer that you have. We also put in a Luna brush. The brush is constantly being used, helps keep the cows clean. I think also kind of keeps some of the boss cows away from the front of the robots. And so I got a little video of that. So as you can see, they use them all the time. That thing's been in for 14 months, and every day, all the time it's running. So things that we love about the robots, cows adapted easily for us. like I said earlier, once we started, we had to, when you train cows for the robots the first time, it gives the first couple, the first week is pretty tough, and you're shoving cows through and helping them learn. But within a month, most of the cows were going through no problem. I think we're already getting over 3 milkings per cow. They've been reliable. We really had 0 issues with them. A couple little bolts here and there, but nothing major. Everything's been working good. And then they have management support, which is Lately go onto your computer with TeamViewer, take over. They'll look at the numbers that you have, the settings that are, and they'll look and say, hey, you can improve this number, or you can change this number to improve your operation. And ours is actually Dan Mihawk, who's sitting right there in the 3rd row. So, and he does a very nice job for us. He'll pop up a little sticky note on the computer that says, hey, you might want to check this cow or check this setting. And the 3rd is we get good support with Laley. If we have any problems, they get back to us right away. The local dealer that installed them is called Dairy Tech, who you've probably seen their booth outside. We have anything go wrong, 5-10 minutes, and they're always on the scene taking care of us. Oh, I'll talk about this one when it's done, but I always think about what do I like most about the Laley robots, and the favorite part that I like is the brush. Gets the teeth nice and clean, so I thought I'd take a video of that. So you kind of see how that cow earlier, how it was trying to push to get in. And so you can kind of see the speed at which it washes and how well it washes and how well it attaches. I don't think a employee or you, it's pretty hard to compete, or it's pretty well at competing against anybody. The reason I really like that brush is it gets the base of the teats. As it goes all the way up there, it gets all the way to the top. Also, the robot remembers the last previous 10 milkings. And so as the udder changes, goes up and down, then it attaches faster, but it also remembers the last milking for the brushes. So the brushes don't have to get scanned in. The brushes go in, they're turning, so they're able to grab the teats and get everything moving right away and help stimulate the cow. T4C is the program on the cow. I guess you kind of compare it to a DHA or a Dairy Provo, but it's the program that takes all your information and gets it so you can use it. So it'll keep track of your heat detection, your cow movement, your temperature, your milk, and you can take all that information and use that for your business decisions. You can pay attention to as much as you want or as little as you want. Everything that we have you can see at a glance. This is my dashboard on the computer. This is the quick look for information. I took this picture, I think Saturday night. Probably kind of hard to see in the back, but there's 2 numbers below each gauge, and one is the milk production or butter fat that you average for the week, and the first number is what you're getting that day. And so as we go down the line, you get your total milk production, milk per cow, butter, fat, protein, number of visits a day, time that each cow takes, which is right around, I think it's right on there, it's 5 minutes and 42 seconds a cow. And if a number is off or anything's different, then a little red light turns on just to catch your attention to say, hey, pay attention to this. And here is another page that you click on that keeps track of your production. So it gives you live production of your cow all day long. Butter, fat, protein, grain fed to each cow. And then on the column, kind of in the middle, there's a little column with a little X on it. And that's a little column that says your production's too low. So it might be just a cow that you want to kind of keep an eye on. So my day is, before we used to start at 3 in the morning milking. Now I get up at 5. First thing I do is I like to go on the computer and I check the rumination tags, see if there's any cows that dip down. Mostly I do that first, just to, as I'm going out doing about my work, I can see the cow and I can say, well, I just need to keep an eye on this one, or whether I want to do anything with it. I'd look at the cows that did not go in the robot. I think we have that set to pop up at, if they weren't milked in the last 8 hours. So we have a little pin off our first robot that we put the cows in that did not go in. And then the only way out of that pin is to go through the robot. So I've had days where I have 2-3 days in a row where I have 0 cows to catch, and I've had days with 7 or 8 cows to catch. Most of it's depending on how many 2-year-olds came fresh. Then we scrape, feed, clean stalls. Usually I'm finished by 6:30, 7 in the morning, about an hour and a half routine. And then I do the same routine at about 3 in the afternoon. And so we got the rest of the day to work on other things, whether it would be field work or work in the creamery or anything else going on. Results. So when we got these robots, we were hoping for a 10-pound increase, which was about 5 pounds of milk. Now we're currently up about 14 pounds of milk, almost 30%, which is pretty good, I thought, for jerseys. And butterfat was up 0.2%. Why the results that we had? We were 2 times a day milking. Now they're averaging 3.2. We've milked with a double 4, so we had some pretty long holding pen time waits. So that's eliminated. And now they have all day access to bed and feeding. We used to feed one group of silage to the cows. So now, before, the high producing cows were not fed enough, low producing cows were fed too much. But now it's dialed in that every cow is getting what it should have. And the last reason is every cow is monitored 24/7. So you just have tremendous information on each cow. I think our results are probably a little bit on the higher side, but I also think that we had a lot more things to fix on our farm than some people would. I think if you have everything dialed in, you probably won't get quite those results, but it worked very well for us. Yeah, probably the most important about the robots is, are they financially sound? So we were able to eliminate a full-time milker and a weekend milker. We just did the first 6 months, actually it's probably about a month ago, with the accountant. So everything the numbers I have on here were done by a CPA on an accrual basis. So we're saving just over $5,000 a month on labor, anywhere from milking reasons, cleaning holding pens, and numerous of things. Right now I'm feeding about $4,200 more a month on grain. Before we did our robots, we were feeding about 18 pounds per cow. But now that we're able to dial them in, we're sitting at 23 pounds. Milk production is up 14 pounds. I did my math on $18 milk, even though I know it's not there right now, but that was our original number that we used. So I added $5 for Jersey price. And so that came out to be about $15,000 more income per month. We financed the robots in our construction for 10 years. But it was about $750,000 for the robots and the add-on. So we have a 10-year deal, and we're paying $7,200 a month per robot, or per month. So that came out to be about $9,000 a month ahead for our farm. And so we're figuring that on a six and a half year payoff. Most of that $9,000 per month came from increased milk production. For our first 6 months of the year, our cost of production was dropped by $1.62. Hopefully that'll go down a little bit more as we go into the year, since the last quarter always seems to be the best quarter because you're taking your feeds out instead of putting them in for us. So hopefully we'll be able to get that closer to $2. Things we would change. Everybody likes everything brand new, so that'd be the one thing, is if you could build a brand new barn and have everything top notch. But then I'd also be making a bigger payment, so I'm not sure exactly what we would change. But other than that, we really love the robots. They're probably nothing with the robots I'd change. And everybody always says, well, what's Lately paying you to say that? But they're not paying me, so. And our long-term goal is to grow the business for the 6th generation. That's our youngest son there. So, and then at the end here, I got a video that we made when we started the robots, and with our customers. We didn't want people to think that you know less about your cows. We want people to know that we're still involved with the cows and knowing what's going on in the barn.
When milking our own cows for years, it's been the norm is twice a day. We take the whole herd, we move them up to our existing milking parlor, we milk them, they spend about 5 or 10 minutes getting milked, and then they go back out and they eat their feed or they lay in their stalls. And it was always been structured around our schedule. In August, we installed what we call robotic milkers, where no human now is involved in a decision when a cow wants to get milked. They decide when they want to get milked. They decide when they want to go to the feed bunk and eat. They decide when they want to go to the pasture and eat, and they decide when they want to lay down and rest. Nobody's in charge of them except themselves. When a cow comes into the robot, there's a little display screen that will display her name, her number, and then as she's being milked, it will monitor the total volume of milk that she's giving, not only of the total of all 4 of her quarters, but each individual quarter also. And it monitors the quality of each quarter. It monitors the temperature of each quarter. It just gives us tremendous individual control of that animal. It's been really fun watching our girls develop from a herd mentality to an individual mentality out there. Their overall health has been wonderful too, because not only do we get to monitor with the robotic milkers the quality of their milk, but we can monitor their exact activity all the time, and we can find out really quickly if anybody's not doing well or if they got a digestive upset. So it's given us a tremendous management tool by letting them be their own individuals. And it's been just a wonderful change for both us and the girls that produce the milk for the bottles.
That's my son's favorite video, and he goes like this, and he always thinks he's a big actor, so. All right, so that's it. So
are you guys up for some questions?
yeah, we can ask questions. You can tell I'm kind of nervous. I'm not used to public speaking, so apologize.
Do well. Might be a future. Anyway, Twin Brook Dairy, great presentation, great family, great dairy. If there are any questions, I think I can disengage this thing. Or you can yell. Any questions for Michelle or Larry?
Mark.
Do you think that if you weren't bottling your own milk, it would still pencil as well as it does now?
That's what we get. A lot of people that come in, and they first, local people that come and see the robots, and that's the first thing they say. Oh, you can only afford this because you do your own bottling. But if we did that, well, depending on the milk price, but the numbers really wouldn't change. Of course, bottling your milk helps, with a stable price, but I don't think it would change a whole lot. Every farm is different, I think, and every farm everybody's farm numbers are different, and how you do things. So it's kind of a hard answer, hard question for me to answer, I guess.
Good answer. You should go into sales.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh.
So I assume most of your bottled milk is sold wholesale. I was just curious, what do your customers sell for in their retail shops? What's the price per gallon roughly? I'm sure there's a range of it.
Yeah, well, we take our milk and we sell it to a distributor. The distributor sells it to the store, and then the store puts whatever price they want on it. So everybody's in the middle is trying to get their 20%. But typically, a grocery store will sell a half gallon for right around $3.99. We've seen the chocolate milk just go as high as $5.99. Every store is different. You go downtown Seattle, it's more money than in the county stores, and Portland's more money than where we are in Lynden. So
Yeah, just to follow up. So I know one of the things you said differentiates yourself is the Jersey
Yep.
milk, low vat pasteurization. Do you feel like most of the customers understand what a Jersey cow is? I'm on the East Coast and we have jerseys, and they first thought we were from New Jersey, and I'm from Virginia, but also low pasteurization. Some people don't know about that, so that we have to do a lot of explaining about that.
I would guess that different markets are a little different, but when in the Seattle and Portland market, people always read too much on the internet and believe everything they read for as far as your food is concerned. And so when it comes to Jersey cows, I think it's more people like the colored breeds, or they think the Jersey's a little cuter, and I would say that's more of the reason why.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh, over here. Can you yell?
If you were to improve something with the current system, what would it be that you would improve? And I guess the second question is, what's the biggest bottleneck?
For the robots, you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you go on, before we put these on, I went on YouTube a lot. And I would watch all these videos, and when you start watching either, not to put Canada on the spot, but you've seen some of those Canadian dairies or even some of those European dairies that are, everything is brand new technology, automatic feeding. You know, if you can do it again and build everything new, that would be great. I'd probably also put a fourth robot in. We put 3 in, but we paid for the components for process. Each robot, 2 robots are run off 1 compressor. I probably would have put a 4th robot in. The biggest bottleneck on them, they've actually been very nice. Every once in a while, they'll call you in the middle of the night, to say that something's wrong, but I probably maybe get a phone call once every 2 weeks, and then most of the time, there'll be a little splot of manure on the laser screen, or a hose got twisted up. Usually takes me a little longer to walk out there than it does to fix it, so especially at 2 in the morning.
Anybody else?
Do you charge a deposit on your bottles?
Yeah, we charge a deposit. I believe it's at about $1. I don't remember where it was. Maybe $1.89. So we charge a deposit to the distributor. Distributor charges it to the store, and the store charges it to the customer. So the store is actually buying everything. When it leaves our farm, it's actually we're no longer the owner of it, and then we buy it back.
Follow-up question for me, Mark, is $1.89 enough? I mean, our glass bottles tend to be expensive.
By the time we're done, we make 25 cents a bottle.
You actually make 20.
Yeah, so we just assume that people didn't bring them back, even though we do it to be sustainable. So you don't have to rewash them.
I know you haven't had robots very long, but how about maintenance on the robots? What do you foresee in the future?
Right now, everything was under warranty until 2 months ago. So when everything broke, everything was covered. So maybe a better question to ask me in about 5 years. But so far, nothing major has been an issue.
You mentioned that in the Seattle and Portland markets, your consumers know what they want. How do they feel about the robotic milking?
So far, everything is not everything, but a lot of it is perception and how you word things. And so when you go out there, we say, well, now we give the cows the freedom to do what they want. They have the freedom to go outside whenever they want. They have the freedom to get milk to wherever they want. And so that's kind of how we address that.
I think that last YouTube video kind of addressed that, and
Yep.
that was the purpose for it, correct?
Yep.
Guess twofold question. First one, I guess, as a father, do you feel a part of you that you're excited about what you're able to pass on to your son, a lifestyle that maybe you realize that had you tried to pass on the old style, that he may not have been as excited about dairy as that he now can be?
Did everybody hear that question? About passing down your heritage and lineage, your the whole lifestyle, building a better, attracting your younger generation into the farm. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
'Cause it's hard
What's
to
the
show
legacy?
next
Yeah.
generation on something that we grew up with, that, well, that's just the way it is. And today's generation sometimes is like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, they don't want to work as hard as you. I don't blame them.
Let's see what it did to us.
Yeah, so right now my oldest son is 12. And then so every morning part of his job is he goes out and he cleans the robots down, scrubs them down. And he does that before breakfast in the morning. He loves cows. He shows at the fair and he got 3rd place at the fair, so now he thinks we need to take everything to World Dairy Expo. And then you go in the barn and all he talks about, Dad, should we take this one, or when's this one due? And it just doesn't stop. But that's part of the reason why we did the creamery. We wanted to stabilize our milk income, and we went with the robots to stabilize our labor income. And the whole goal is to make it last for the long run. Well, most people in here probably know that it can be tough otherwise. So.
I haven't looked on the clock. We okay on time? I guess we are. Who wanted this? A question? Oh.
Nutritionally, what kind of hurdles have you had to jump through or deal with as far as the pellet in the robot and dealing with too high concentrates, that sort of thing?
I know that they ordered to get the cows to come to the robot as much as you need to have that right. Fortunately for us, our nutritionist was very familiar with robots. He dealt with some down in Oregon. And so right off the bat, it actually went very well. They came out with a feed table, made a feed table for us. Not too much problems. This is the first time we just started feeding the corn silage to the dairy cows, so we limited that to 20 pounds on the outside, just to be careful to make sure they're not getting too much starch outside, so they want to come to the robots. We'll try to bump that up and kind of see where that goes.
Any more questions? Okay. Mark, Michelle, thank you very much. And thank you all for coming. Listen, thank you.